Hi Dollar Divas, welcome to Behind the Vanity. I'm Jessica. So today is Makeup and Celebrity Sunday, and today we are talking about no one other than the amazing, incomparable, sweet, kind, awesome Dolly Parton. Of course, Dolly is just as relevant now as she has ever been and just very much beloved by people, and I just thought she would be a fun one to talk about today. Now, I've never seen her in concert, like I've never seen her actually perform, but I have been in her presence several times. So I have seen her up close and personal, and that's always, and I get really starstruck. I really do. So yeah, I just thought she'd be fun to talk about today, and I wanted to get this video up last Sunday, but of course that did not happen. So I'm glad that it's happening this Sunday. I did want to do it justice and have the vocal energy and just have the energy in general to talk about this amazing person. So we're gonna get this makeup look. It's kind of a glam look, using all Dollar Tree makeup. Some of it is products that are new that I have not used yet. Then some of it is just some things that I've used a time or two. So we're just gonna have some fun with some Dollar Tree makeup. If that sounds like your thing, you're definitely in the right place. So before we get into today's video, of course, if you are returning, thank you so much as always for returning. And if you are new, I do hope that you will stick with me and hit that subscribe button for more content like this. And whether you're new or not, I do have a current giveaway going on. I will have that video linked down below if you're interested in entering that. It'll have all the products and kind of the way to enter. So definitely make sure you check that out if you're interested, whether you're new or not. Definitely check that out if you want to enter. So yeah, without any further chit chat, let's just go ahead and get into today's Makeup and Celebrity Sunday. So I'm going to be using the Broadway Colors Eyebrow Kit. This is in the shade Dark Brown. And I already started on my eyebrow, but I was not recording. So I'm just kind of mixing the light and the dark shade. But I'm actually kind of favoring the light shade a little bit more, because the dark shade is pretty pigmented. And I probably should have just used the light shade, to be completely honest, but that's okay. So Dollar Tree just recently started carrying a brand called Broadway Colors. And from what I understand, it's used to be sold or is sold at the Dollar General as well. And we actually have some lip products that we have to choose from today. So Dolly Parton was born January 19th, 1946 in Locust Ridge, Tennessee. But she grew up very, very poor. And money was always an issue for her family. So I'm gonna clean up my eyebrows with this e.l.f. concealer. This is in light beige. This is also from the Dollar Tree. Not my favorite concealer, but we're gonna use that today and just because this is a Dollar Tree video. So Dolly was one of 12 children, and actually recently her brother Randy passed away a couple months ago, and I think he was younger than Dolly, I believe. But of course, Dolly's family is what happens with a lot of these stars, such as Aretha, who I talked about not too long ago. Her family was the first one that exposed her to music. And of course, she grew up in church as well, so very similar to Aretha in that way. That's where she kind of got her very early start. So when she was still just a small child, a relative gave her a guitar, and she immediately started writing her own songs. Like, I don't even know how old she was, but she might have been like 6 or 7 or 8 or something like that. I don't even think she was 10 years old when this happened. So she was really young, like she wasn't even yet 10 years old. So at age 10, she actually became professional because she was performing quite often on local television shows and radio stations, kind of in the Knoxville area. So yeah, so she's been at this for a while. And apparently, and I didn't know this, at 13, she made her Grand Ole Opry debut. I mean, I knew she had been in the business for a long time, but I kind of thought it was more like after high school. I didn't really realize that she was so young, and I definitely didn't know she debuted at the Opry that young. I had no idea. So she did wait until after high school to move to Nashville. So for eyeshadow today, we are gonna use this little hard candy palette. This is in the color story Naturally Gorgeous, and this is a recent find from the Dollar Tree. So we're gonna kind of go with like a soft glam kind of look. So I'm gonna kind of see what we can come up with this palette. There's a lot of shimmer, so we're just gonna see how this goes. I'm gonna go all over with one of these two shades right here. I don't know, maybe this lightest one. We'll just kind of see where that gets us. That's kind of what a swatch of that looks like. So in 1967, she was now 21 years old, and this is when her career really started to take off. So it really didn't take too long after she went to Nashville for her career to really start. So she ended up starring in the Porter Wagner show, and as a duo, they really started to become very, very popular. And they did lots of recording together, and they had lots of hit songs together. That's pretty. Like I said, I don't really know about this being like an inclusive palette, but we're gonna give it a try for sure. So one thing about Dolly that I don't know if a lot of people know, but she is really smart. She's very headstrong, and so of course she's been writing songs for years, since she was a child. And she really has a very strong business sense. And so kind of right from the beginning, she kept all of the publishing rights to her songs. She didn't ever give anybody any rights to any of her songs, so she kept all that. And that really, it's earned her a lot of money and a lot of notoriety. That is a very big deal. And kind of as a way of controlling her own music and all that kind of stuff, she started her own publishing company and label, because it was just the best way for her to be able to control her stuff. Again, very, very business savvy. You know, I know a lot of people probably don't know how smart she is in that way, and I just think it's so cool. And really, and from a very young age, which is just amazing. Here's a couple more colors here. I'm kind of thinking of what to do kind of all over the lid. I'm definitely going to use the darkest color to kind of smoke it out, so we will just kind of see. I'm actually going to this shade right here just to kind of darken up the lid just a bit. So not too long after all this, she got a record contract with RCA. That's not doing a whole lot. I might go up to this shade right here. So her first #1 hit was a song called Joshua. And of course, throughout the mid-70s, more hits followed, including Jolene and I Will Always Love You. I Will Always Love You is actually not a love song at all. It's not a traditional love song. It's actually about a platonic relationship, and it's really about her relationship with Porter Wagner. When she eventually left the Porter Wagner show, she wrote I Will Always Love You for Porter Wagner, and it was in a platonic way, and kind of in a business way, that she was leaving this partner she kind of had in business, you know, for a while. You know, she was leaving this partner and friend that she had, and she had achieved everything that the show could do for her, and she really wanted to move on to the next phase of her career. So yeah, it's not a traditional love song at all. And I think I've even heard too where it took her like no time to write. Like I think I've heard her say that it took her like 30 minutes to write or something like that. That didn't do a whole lot, but we're gonna keep moving on. So kind of around this time, there were even more hits, and a lot of these I've never heard before. Love Is Like a Butterfly, The Bargain Store, The Seeker, and All I Can Do. Just, again, more hits just under her belt. So in 1975 and 1976, she won a CMA for Female Vocalist of the Year for her body of work. You know, at this point, she's had a lot of songs. So I'm gonna kind of start smoking it out, and then we're gonna do something on the inner, so I'm gonna go ahead and use that darkest color right there. So of course, Dolly crossed over. You know, that's how she became so popular. You know, anytime an artist crosses over, like Shania Twain or Taylor Swift, that's where like the most success comes. So that happened for her in 1977 with the song Here You Come Again. And it was #1 on the country charts, and it got up to #3 on the pop charts. And it also won her her first Grammy Award. That's pretty pigmented. I'm just gonna blend it a little bit and clean up under my eyes. These do have a little bit of kickback. So there was actually a song called Starting Over Again, and it was a #1 hit for Dolly. You know, of course, she wrote a lot of her own, or all of her songs really, but this song was actually written by Donna Summer, which I thought was really interesting. So now by the 1980s, Dolly's movie career really kind of started and started taking off. And, you know, she had just a really couple just very popular movies. But of course, you know, they moved her into mainstream success even further. So in 1980, 9 to 5 came out. And of course, it also starred Jane Fonda, Lily Tomlin. And then the song 9 to 5, which I'm sure we've all heard, it hit #1 on the pop and country charts. And Dolly won an Academy Award. How cool is that? So now I'm gonna go kind of on the inner part, like the inner half of my eye. And of course, we're gonna move on and then kind of finish up the eyes later. But I'm kind of hoping that this ends up kind of like a soft glam look. And right now it's kind of like a hot mess, but we'll fix it. We always do. So I'm gonna take a flat brush, and of course we're gonna spray the brush. I'm trying to think of what shimmer I would like to go with. So these are some of the shimmers that are in there. And I think I kind of want a lighter shimmer. I might actually use the second shade in the palette. And so I'm gonna spray my brush, of course. So I'm gonna spray my brush, and I'm gonna use this Hard Candy Defend Sheer Envy Setting Spray. I found this some time ago at the Dollar Tree. Ooh, that's gonna be pretty. That's gonna be really, really, really pretty. So in 1982, Dolly starred in the movie The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas, which she starred in with Burt Reynolds. And that movie also reintroduced people to her song, I Will Always Love You, of course, her version of that song. So it kind of got a second wind. So kind of her next really big hit, and this was a huge hit for Dolly, was the duet with Kenny Rogers, Islands in the Stream. Then in 1986, Dollywood opened, and yes, it is a real place. It is located in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, and it's a theme park that, of course, bears Dolly's name. That park took the place of a theme park called Silver Dollar City, which they do have one of those in Branson, Missouri, but Silver Dollar City in 1986 in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee became Dollywood, so she got her own theme park. And it's still up and running to this day, of course. So of course we'll do more with shadow later, but I'm gonna move on to liner and lashes and then move on to the face. So I'm gonna use this LA Colors eye marker. This is in black. I wanna do kind of a wing because I do want this to be kind of glam. So in 1992, and I didn't realize it was the early 90s, but I guess it was, is when Whitney Houston recorded I Will Always Love You. And of course, I told the story in another video, but in case you missed it, Elvis, years prior, actually wanted to record I Will Always Love You. And his manager at the time, the Colonel, was insisting that Dolly give up the publishing rights to the song. She wouldn't do it. And I'm sure that had to be really tough as a young woman to turn down Elvis, but she was so set on not giving him all the rights to the song. I mean, she would have lost all of the rights to the song. And good thing, because then Whitney Houston came along and recorded it. Dolly still had all the publishing rights. And of course, Dolly tells this, she has this famous quote that says, when I recorded I Will Always Love You, I laughed all the way to the bank. And when Whitney Houston recorded it, I bought the bank. That was when, I mean, that song, I mean, Whitney's version of it is obviously one of the most famous songs in the world. Of course, that was recorded for the movie The Bodyguard, and which ended up becoming a hit soundtrack. The soundtrack to the movie The Bodyguard became a hit soundtrack. So we're gonna put on lashes and then move on to the face, and then we're gonna come back, revisit the eyes. And I've had these for a while, but I have not used them. They're the Diamond Cosmetics lashes in Feeling Flirty. They have like silver glitter on them, and I thought they'd be really, I've been kind of saving them for a special occasion, and today's the day. And I'm just gonna use the glue that comes with it. So I Will Always Love You stayed at the top of the charts for 14 weeks. That is a really, really long time. And of course, it goes down in history as one of the best-selling singles of all time. I mean, huge, huge, huge success. I mean, I just can't even reiterate or get over just the fact that it's so good that she did not give the song to Elvis. I mean, and that would be tough. I mean, to say no to Elvis, I'm not sure I would have been able to have done it if it were me. But it's just amazing, amazing to me. So I guess Anderson Cooper asked her in an interview, you know, what did she do with all of the money that she earned from Whitney Houston recording I Will Always Love You? And she kind of jokes that she took all of that money and she bought a bunch of cheap wigs. Dolly is just so unpretentious, you know what I mean? She just so funny. You know, I'm not really liking these. They kind of look like when you need to change your eyelashes after they gotten too much makeup on them. So I'm gonna switch to Plan B. So Plan B is a set of Ione lashes. I've used these once in a Get Ready With Me. They're in the style Katrina. So then in 1993, Dolly and Tammy Wynette and Loretta Lynn, of course, those are two very famous country singers as well. They got together and recorded Honky Tonk Angels. And then in 1995, Dolly, and I did not know this, she re-recorded I Will Always Love You with Vince Gill, which I'm sure is a beautiful version of that song. I may have heard it. If I did, it was a long, long time ago. Oh yeah, this was a much better choice. Fancy eyelashes like that they never end up working for me. So in 1999, she recorded a bluegrass album. And I'm not a huge fan of bluegrass, but hear it quite a bit because a lot of people that I know just love it. But it's not one of my favorite forms of music. But she recorded this bluegrass album called The Grass is Blue. And that was in 99. And she recorded it with Alison Krauss and Patti Loveless. Again, just a couple wonderful, not only country singers, but bluegrass singers. And it won a Grammy for the Best Bluegrass Album that year. Then in 2001, Dolly was inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame, and she also won another Grammy that year. So then in 2003, she actually won a second Academy Award for a song called Travelin' Through, which I don't know that I've ever heard. It was on the movie soundtrack for a movie called Trans America. So now I have like a bunch of just like random facts about Dolly, which one of them is that in 1976 and 1987 and 88, she actually had her own variety show, which is really cool. So we're actually gonna move on to foundation and come back to the eyes in a little bit. I'm gonna use this Wet n Wild Coverall foundation. This is in Fair Light. Got this at the Dollar Tree a while back. It's really, really nice. So Dolly is actually in the Guinness Book of World Records. It's so specific, but that's how the Guinness Book of World Records is. But it's having the most decades with a top 20 Billboard hit as a country female singer. So, but still very cool. Like I said, it's very specific, very random, but that's what the Guinness Book of World Records kind of is, you know? This is just a really nice foundation. And so in 2012, she published a book. It's called Dolly, My Life and Other Unfinished Business. And I've never read it, but it'd be very interesting to read. So now I'm gonna put on more of that concealer, that e.l.f. concealer that we used earlier. And of course, I think it was Hallmark or Lifetime. I think it was Lifetime. Of course, a few years ago had some movies and all that kind of stuff. And I think I watched the very first one, The Coat of Many Colors, but I haven't seen any of the other ones like Jolene. And I think it was Julianne Hough that played Jolene. And Jolene, the song Jolene, was actually inspired by a bank teller who would flirt with her husband Carl, and we'll talk more about Carl in a little bit, but who would always flirt, with her husband, and so it was kind of a joke between them. It wasn't really like a threatening thing. So that's where the song Jolene came from. So for bronzer, I haven't used this in a little while. It's the LA Colors bronzer. This is in Baked. So Dolly has something called the Imagination Library, and if you're not familiar with this program, it was actually inspired by her dad because she wanted to improve the literacy of children and people because her dad couldn't read or write. So it was very near and dear to her heart. What it does is it gives all children a free book every month, I think mailed to their home until they're 5 years old. So just a great way for children to get books, and to encourage children reading. And that's just one of the many charitable contributions she makes. I mean, she does lots of things publicly, but she also does a lot of things very anonymously as well. And actually most of her charitable donations are said to be anonymous. But she donates a lot to hospitals and schools, as well as her own community that she grew up in. So she does lots of good. So her husband's name is Carl Dean, and she has been married to him since 1966. They met at a Nashville laundromat called the Wishy Washy, and then they married 2 years after they met. So they've been together for a really long time. He is a very private man. So we never see him in the public at all, and that's just how he likes it. And after 50 years, they did renew their wedding vows, which is so sweet. And I think a lot of people might know this, but you might not. She's actually Miley Cyrus's godmother. So that's pretty cool. Imagine having Dolly Parton as your godmother. She's kind of like all of our godmother, I guess, I kind of feel. So this is a new blush. This is the LA Colors single blush in Spice. I have not used this. This was for my last Dollar Tree haul. So we are gonna use this today. So I mentioned earlier that when she was a child, they were really poor. Money was always an extreme issue for them. And when Dolly was born, her parents, they paid for her birth with a pack of oatmeal. Crazy, I know. It's so hard to imagine. It's just so crazy to imagine her success story, So Dolly has a best friend that she grew up with named Judy, and they are still super close to this day. And it's kind of one of those situations, how Gayle King and Oprah have to deal with the whole, the fact that they're gay with each other. Dolly deals with the same thing. That rumor's been circulating around for years. It's like someone famous just can't have a best friend that they've known since childhood. You know what I mean? But she's been friends with her friend Judy since childhood. And just another random fact, and I didn't know, she has a theme park and all that kind of stuff, but she actually has pretty extreme motion sickness. So she cannot ride a lot of things. So it does have motion sickness. So now I'm gonna set all this down with this LA Colors powder. I haven't used this in a while. This is in Light. So, Dolly is such she loves everybody. She is just, she loves all kinds of people. She is just the epitome of someone that just loves everyone for who they are, you know? It doesn't matter, you know, what their orientation is, what their race, their, you know, political affiliation. She just loves everybody. And she's actually gotten death threats. I mean, to think someone could ever not like Dolly, or, you know, but she has actually gotten death threats from the KKK because her theme park, Dollywood, participates in gay days, which I didn't know that that was a thing there, but apparently it is. And it encourages LGBTQ people to celebrate together. And I really had no idea, and I'm just so shocked that anyone could ever send out a death threat to Dolly. I mean, come on. So apparently Dolly loves to get up at 3 a.m. because, you know, of course she's obviously a very productive woman and she gets a lot done in that time. So that's what she's always done. Her name is legally Dolly Parton Dean. So she does have her husband's last name, and Dolly Parton is her original birth name as well. And apparently she has actually spent millions of dollars recreating her childhood home. She literally spent millions of dollars to make it look like it was built with like $50. But, you know, it's got the modern conveniences and everything like that. And I never knew. I mean, of course, she was very poor. 12 kids plus her parents grew up in this tiny little house. But yeah, apparently she has recreated it and spent a lot of money doing it, which is crazy. And this is something I'd always heard as well, but apparently, and she tells this story, she once entered a look-alike contest, and I guess it was like a drag contest, and she lost. She couldn't look as much like herself as good as the drag queens could, and that is just the funniest thing ever, I think. So for highlighter, I'm gonna use this. It's been a while. It's the LA Colors Contour Stick, and it is the, you know, the highlighter one, of course. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put this, you know, where I would highlight. Not my favorite highlighter, but, you know, not awfully too awful terrible, you know. So we're gonna go back to the eyes and finish up the lips, and we will be done. And this was not very good, but I'm gonna try it again. This eyeliner slash brow pencil, it's in black, it's from LA Colors. This is the one that comes in a 2-pack. So of course, you know, Dolly is very hip on current events, and, you know, and that's why so many people love her. Yet she, you know, we know she's got her opinions, but she doesn't share them very often, and if she does, she just does it in such a way that everybody loves her, you know what I mean? And that's just the great thing about her. She's just a lovely person inside and out. Okay, I survived that. That wasn't too bad. So I'm gonna go underneath my eyes with something, and then we're gonna do some little highlighting as well. So let's finish up this look. So under my eyes, I'm just gonna go with that darkest shade. So, you know, and this probably will not, you know, of course, Dolly is a very glam woman. She wears wigs and makeup and all that kind of stuff. She just loves all of that kind of thing. She does sleep in her makeup, and she washes her face in the morning, which I'm sure people have told her is not good for her, but she does it. And her thing is that you just never know if the bus is gonna crash or something, and, you know, she wants to be ready, or if there's a fire alarm. So she does sleep in her makeup, which is not surprising at all. Okay, so let's do a little bit of highlighting. I'm just gonna use that lightest shade in the palette to highlight under the brow bone and to do like the inner corner. It's actually very nice under the brow bone highlight. We'll take that same shade and do a little inner corner highlight. I am gonna spray my brush for this. So there's this like long-standing rumor that Dolly, you never see her arms. She always wears long sleeves and stuff because she has tattoo sleeves all the way up her arms. And I don't know that that's true. If it is, she doesn't admit it. She does admit to having some tattoos, mainly to cover up some surgery scars. And she has said it's mostly butterflies and bows. So last but certainly not least, we've got the lips, and I've got a couple of options. So one is the Beauty Benefits So Lit Lip Gloss Shine. This is in Paint the Town Red. I've got the Broadway Matte Lip Lacquer. This is in Juliet. And I've got the LA Colors Nude Glam Lipstick. I've actually used one of these, I think, in my last Get Ready With Me, and it was really nice. And this is in the shade Oh Teddy. I can't remember the other shade, but it's a little darker than this. So I'm just gonna take them all out and swatch them, and we'll pick one. So these are the 3 shades. The one on top is the Beauty Benefits, and the one in the middle is the Broadway Colors. Which, you know, they say tube indicates color. And at first I was like, wow, that's gone on more red than I thought. But now that it's on my hand, it really does look like the tube. And for me, I'm not crazy about this shade here. It's just a little light and weird. I definitely like the other shade I have a lot better. You know, I think I'm gonna use both. I think I'm gonna do like an ombre lip type of a thing. So I think I'm gonna go in with the Broadway Colors first, and we'll just kind of see how this works out. Because I don't really have a lip liner today. kind of have a thing going on my lip. It's like I started to get a cold sore, but it didn't fully like materialize. I don't know, that really didn't do like an ombre thing at all, but it's pretty. I've tried another one of these lip glosses in like a nude shade, and I really liked it. I really like that a lot. Yeah, very glam. This is very glam. So, and I am going to work, so it works out perfectly. But yeah, it is a very glam look, kind of in honor of Dolly. So there you go. We kind of have this really glam Dollar Tree makeup look. I thought it would be fun to do something glamorous using some new or new-ish Dollar Tree makeup and talk about the Queen of Country. I think she's the Queen of Country. She's definitely most people's Queen of Country, just the amazing Dolly Parton, much beloved, just an awesome person all around. So I had fun learning a little bit more about her and talking about her, and I sure hope you did too. And if you did, show me you did by hitting that like button. I will have my entire Dollar Tree Makeup and Haul playlist, as well as my Makeup and Celebrity Sunday series playlist, both linked down below so you can binge watch more videos like this. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.